Master Mode was finally released, and a lot of you guys have been asking what gear you should wear and how classes should be played. Although the bosses are really hard, it should be much easier if you learn about these things. Subscribe down below if you want to learn more about Master Mode, and yeah, let's dive straight into it. First of all, let's talk about classes. In previous floors, Mage wear Wither Goggles plus Storm Armor, and Archers wear Necron Armor plus the Tarantula Helmet. But in Master Mode, classes that are not Archer or Mage are actually quite useful. In the dungeon, you'll definitely need a tank, since it soaks up all the damage for everyone, to make sure everyone stays alive. Healer and Berserker also got a buff, which makes them pretty good as well. A no-dupe setup would be pretty good, but the ideal setup is to run multiple Berserkers, and a tank, and a healer, maybe even a Mage. Berserker at the moment is extremely broken, as showcased in Egom's latest stream.
Where's this? Shadow Assassin in here? What? What the f-
He could kill mini-bosses with ease as a Berserker because of the Bloodlust 2 buff. Berserkers and tanks, or maybe even Archer in a dungeon, are responsible for killing mini-bosses, while healers and mages are responsible for clearing mob rooms. If you're a healer or mage and you run into a mini-boss room, you should type in the party chat to tell the Berserkers and tanks to come over. That's the most efficient way of clearing, which all the top parties uses. Secondly, let's go over gear. Everyone used to wear the same gear, like Storm and Wither Goggles for Mage, Necron and Diamond Head for Archers, etc. But since the Master Mode update, there are more builds and armor pieces that you can use, so let's start off with Mage, the class that everybody uses. For mages, your job is to clear mob rooms in Master Mode floors, and not do much against mini-bosses and bosses. Even though you're not killing mini-bosses, you'll still need some defense, since normal mobs in the dungeon are still very deadly. So let's go over the weapon. The weapon of choice is very obvious. You will need a Hyperion. You shouldn't be playing Master Mode if you don't have one. It's basically a requirement. Maybe you can get away with doing the first 2 floors without a Hyperion, but you'll definitely need one for the later floors. Then for the gear, you have a lot of options. If you're extremely high Catacombs, you can get away with Wither Goggles plus Full Storm, but I know a lot of you guys are not Catacombs 44. So between Catacombs 32 and 40, you can wear Wither Goggles, Storm Chestplate and Leggings, as well as Tier 12 Perfect Boots. The Tier 12 Perfect Boots will give you an extra 1000 defense than Storm Boots, which will make you stay alive. And if you're below Catacombs 32, I would recommend grinding lower Master Mode floors before advancing to higher ones like 3, 4, and 5. And for the pet of choice, you can use a Minos Relic Sheep if you're high Catacombs, but if you're low Cata, use a Blue Whale. Left click Mage is also an option. You can use Ancient Storm, and maybe even a Livid Dagger. For tanks, your job is to support your teammates. Tank doesn't do any killing or clearing, they just stand next to the DPS characters like Berserker or Archer to take all the damage for them. So you won't need any DPS armor like Storm or Necron. The ideal build would be to wear a 5-star Giant Reaper mask and Steel Chestplate, which makes everyone takes less damage, then Goldor Leggings as well as Tier 12 Perfect Boots. This setup will give you an insane amount of defense. I'm Catacombs 38 and it gives me 1.7 million EHP, which makes me take 99.3% less damage. You can probably get more by not wearing a Steel Chestplate, but the Steel Chestplate makes everyone takes less damage, which is pretty good. You can also wear a Diamond Head if someone on your team is wearing a Mender's Crown. You should also convert your Hyperion into an Astria, since it gives a lot of true defense as well as normal defense. As a tank, you should also be using a tank pet like Blue Whale or Turtle Pet. For Berserker and Archers, your job is to kill mini-bosses, blood mobs, and damage the boss. There are a lot of builds that you can do, but here's a really popular one. You'll need a Warden Helmet as well as 3/4 Necron. This build is very squishy, but it gives you the most damage output. Your tank will soak up most of the damage anyways, so the ideal pet will be the Ender Dragon, but you can use damage pets like Tiger, Griffin, and others. As an Archer, you'll be using Boomerangs, a Giant Sword, and a Flower of Truth. You shoot your Boomerangs out and sword swap to the Giant Sword for extra damage, and if you're low, you can use the Lifesteal on the Flower of Truth. But if you're a Berserker, there are a lot more options. You can use the Axe of Shredded paired with a Giant Sword. You right click the axe, then quickly sword swap to the Giant Sword, and repeat. Here's a clip of Egom doing it.
Okay, go like this. Die. Where's my damage? DPS? Hello, hello, hello.
Another option would be to use a Valkyrie and a Tiger Pet. The amount of ferocity you get with this setup is crazy. You do so much single target DPS to bosses. And lastly, if you're broke, you can use a Soul Whip. It's decent for clearing, but not good against mini-bosses. Lastly, Healer. Healer is basically a mage, but with healing abilities. Your job would be to clear rooms like Mage, or you stand next to the tank and heal him instead. You can wear Mage gear while clearing, and in the boss fight you can wear something more tanky like tier 12 boots, steel chestplate, etc. You should also wear a Mender's Fedora to increase your whole team's healing by a great amount. Having a Plasma Flux also helps. That's about it for the Master Mode guide. Subscribe down below if you learned something new, and yeah, have a good one, and peace out.